Hello everybody. In this video, I would like to go through my current phaser workflow for the MA3 software. I am by no means trying to present that this is like the best way to do it. But it's been a topic on the Facebook groups recently that I've been kind of trying to sort through. I've been beating my head on the wall trying to figure out a workflow that's hitting everything I need out of it for quite some time, and I finally landed at something that I'm happy with. My hope is that it is helpful for other people and that maybe somebody else can take it and run with it and even improve on it. Because I did not. This workflow is based off of something that I don't know if Araya Haley came up with it, but she was the person it was attributed to when the designer passed it on to me. And again, hopefully it can continue to go out and be improved. But the three things that I really want out of the workflow is, one, I want the pool item itself to be selective, meaning I can double click on it and every fixture that should be doing something is doing the thing it's supposed to do. Two, I want it to be universal internally, meaning that if I want to go in here, copy this line, paste it, and assign a new group here, that I can do that, and we will have it apply. Now we have our profiles added into that phaser as well, so I want to have that flexibility. And then three, the missing piece when I originally learned this was being able to edit it while seeing the output to the fixtures it's intended to affect. And that was kind of the tricky part to figure out, but yeah, we will go through how all that's accomplished. The one thing you're going to need for this is this macro that I'm keeping on hand, which is store universal with MAtricks. And if you can't read that, I think it's showing up big enough on the screen, but it's store/universal/MAtricks. Yes, that is the full command that ends in the word yes in quotes. And here's why that's important. So I'm going to show you what happens when we're not using that. So I'm going to just grab my Smarties. I'm going to put them in a PWM that's running across the rig. We're going to randomize it with an MAtricks, and I'm going to just store selective. If you guys can see my little screen and I can't, here we go. So if I store selective, or just store with my default settings right now, yeah, you can see it creates, hopefully it's visible, it has global and selective information included in here, which is fine. It is going to do exactly what I want. If I double click on it, we can see that the whole group is doing the thing it's supposed to, although if I had more Smarties, they would probably be flashing since this has global information. And I can even go in, turn into recipe. I'll apply my Smarties from a screen you can't see, and it's doing the thing we want. Seems like it's doing everything up until we copy it and try to apply our profiles to it. Whoops. And notice this recipe line is turned red because it was global and selective. It didn't include the fixture type of my profile. So if I double click on this, my profiles, which are upstage, if I highlight them, are not included in that. However, if you build the same effect and store including MAtricks, it does not force anything to be selective that is more or less selective but happening as a result of your MAtricks settings. So instead, if you edit settings on that, you'll see that the MAtricks that are built into this item were applied into the preset that was built. Whereas if when I stored it the first time and stored selective, if I edit this, you'll notice no MAtricks information is stored here. It's accomplishing the same thing right now, minus being able to double click it. But it's kept it universal. And now, if I go in and convert this into a recipe, I'm going to assign that same group to it. Now I have the functionality where I wanted to double click on it. I'm going to clear this. And it's pulling up everything the way I wanted it to, but the internal information has stayed universal. All right, we had already gotten through that much before. Now is the editing part. So, I don't know. Just label it something here. Okay. Now here's where editing, oh sorry, and I guess I could have showed, if I copy this, paste it, assign my profiles to it, we can see that the profiles are indeed included. But now I've decided, okay, well, I want to change the form on this, right? If I put my Smarties at this phaser, I've got essentially a PWM with a 50. I want to change this into a ramp down. I've already programmed it into a bunch of queues, and I want to tweak it. And two problems occur. One is that it's living in multiple places, so I'd have to go and tweak them all individually. But two, the way I'm going to tweak my width is going to depend on what it's doing across the whole rig, especially when it's a random effect. I'm going to want to see that being applied. But if I go in and just hit edit on this particular line, I can read, I know where it is, here we go. We see it happening to one fixture, which does not, I can take a guess looking at this what it's going to do, but I can't tell. So here's what we do. We grab that group, we put it at this preset. It's going to be a lot of steps, but you can, once you get the muscle memory down, grab the group, put it at the preset. We're going to open it up. We're going to edit that line, and we're going to use our store macro to create a new pull item, which should not be selective. Let's try that again, because that's actually the first I'm having that. Maybe if I grab this, say edit and store here, maybe now we get it. Okay. I feel like most of the time it works, but I'm not fully getting it consistent, so there's some kinks still. It's the best I've got still, though. All right, so now if I grab that group, put it at this, it's doing the thing it was doing before, right? We're back to a universal preset, which means if I double click it, everything in the rig's going to start doing a bunch of crap that we didn't want. But grab the group, put it at our newly stored temporary preset. Now we can go in. I'm going to have to edit this on the console because my encoder bar I forced into the view doesn't have encoders, which is, maybe I'm fucking something up there. But I'm going to change the width of step 1 to nothing, and I'm going to change step 2 to have some transitions. So now we've got ourselves a little ramp down effect. Okay. So now we don't need our temporary preset anymore, so I'm just going to store right over that. Hit overwrite. Great. And now if I grab the Smarties, put them at this, we see they're doing exactly what they should be. Having done that, again, after we've stored it, we're going to reapply, grab that group at this preset. I'm going to edit the original preset we were after, and I'm going to, I've got to get to my other screen here. I've got screens overlapping that you can't see. All right, I'm going to use that same macro over top both of these lines. So I just hit the store macro and I've lassoed over both lines. And I'm going to say, actually I'm going to say overwrite in this case. We can see they've stayed selective. And if I clear out and double click this preset, we can see now all of the rig is doing the ramp down that I just applied to the Smarties, which is what we were after. So again, the recap without explaining every step of the way. First, building it. We're going to build our preset using, I'm using a base phaser and then MAtricks to apply phase and whatnot to it. Delete this. Move this down here for our first one. All right, we store with our special macro in here. We edit that. We turn it into a recipe. We're going to apply the same group into that recipe. And now, if I want to copy that to a new group, you know what? Actually, sorry. Let's do this with something that the MAtricks matters more. So PWM, we're going to do wings. Store recipe, go in. Turn into recipe, assign the group we were using to it. And now if I want that to apply to my profiles as well, I'm going to copy, paste, assign profiles. Now we've applied it to two groups. We can see when I double click it, they are both applying wings correctly. And now, if I want to go edit it, I'm going to grab my hybrids, I'm going to edit the line, immediately store into a temporary item, grab the hybrids again, put them at that new item. We're going to go edit. I've got to move over to the console for this. Step one, oh, that's fine. Step one, we're going to drop the width. I'm just doing a ramp down again. Up our transition. Now it is a ramp down with wings. Great. We're going to come back, store override onto that. Uh-oh. Clear out, grab the group, put it at this again. And we're going to edit our phaser over here. Try to get to my screen. And store with our special macro over both these recipe lines. And now when I double click this, we have both sets of groups doing the new using the newly applied phaser form, maintaining the MAtricks that we wanted, and we can still apply this to different groups. So that's the flow. It is still a lot of steps, I know, but for me, this is writing the proper balance. This is writing the balance between keeping it, being able to see what I'm editing and not forcing it to selective to where I'm having to clone to make new effects come out. Or again, theoretically, once I apply this to a new rig, I can still update those groups, and all of the phasers that I've built with them, along with any delays they're used in, will be updated correctly. So if I update this from a row of 10 profiles to 40 profiles, that wing will be, the wings and phase will be getting applied correctly. I'm only currently using recipes for building phaser presets, well, for building some presets, and for timing and cues. I'm not particularly loving the interaction between normal values and recipes at the moment. They're having some interactions that I don't love on version 2.0.20. But yeah, that's the flow. One detail I forgot to mention is when you try to edit this to integrate new steps, there is a little bug that you will just need to be aware of. There's not really anything you need to do except know it exists to be able to handle it. So let's say applying my Smarty Maxes to this recipe, but I don't like my low value hitting 0. Maybe I only want them to go to almost 0, and I've got a dimmer preset for that precisely. So I'm going to go over to my dimmer presets. I'm going to go over to step 2, which I can't see anything, which is super cool. And I'm going to integrate, which is MA@ my audience glow preset. Actually, I'm going to integrate audience on. So you can see, hopefully in the video, that they don't drop all the way to 0. Great. Storing with our special macro into a new pool item, we have a selective indicator on here. Even though our preset was, it says universal, it's definitely all global values, but it has universal information, but it forced it to be selective. All you have to do is apply it again, store with the special macro. You could store on top. I'm going to store separately just to show it, and it gets rid of the selective. I don't know why the selective pops up at all. It's already been submitted to ACT to look at, but just know, just apply it again, store to a new pool item, or you don't even need to store to a new pool item. You can store overwrite onto the exact same pool item, and the selective information goes away. I was banging my head on the wall for a while and only discovered this by accident. So that's been the only particular bug that I have noticed in this workflow, and it's a super simple one to work around once you know what to do with it. So I very much hope this is helpful for some other people. It is still a lot more steps than I kind of personally would like to be going through, but it's clean to update, and it's fast to work with the phasers that it builds, so it's what I'm running with for right now. Do feel free to leave any comments for improvements that you may find to it. Share them in whatever platform. I hopefully this can continue to improve. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope it helps somebody.